As long as you're willing to marry our son Jason Miller, this villa and $30 million will be your dowry, and I promise to donate $100 million to the orphanage. When I heard that, I almost laughed out loud. I'm the reincarnation of a koi, born with exceptional luck. Anyone who marries me will turn danger into safety, misfortune into blessings, and bring prosperity to their household. In my past life, Jason Miller, the only son of the prestigious Miller family in the capital, was rumored to be cursed to die at the age of 26. Until I became his wife, I helped him avoid disaster after disaster and turned his family into a top-tier elite household. But all I got in return was endless suffering. Then he looked at me coldly, eyes filled with resentment, and said, "Even without you, I could have survived my 26th birthday. But you chose to appear in my life at that exact time, manipulated my mother into forcing me to marry you, and caused my girlfriend of 5 years to drive drunk and die. Do you know what it felt like to lose her that night? You ruined everything, and now you expect me to be grateful?" Jason stuffed me into a sack, tied it with stones, and sank me into the ocean. "Aren't you supposed to be some sort of lucky charm?" he sneered. "Let's see if your so-called luck can help you survive." I struggled in vain and in the end drowned to death. Now Mrs. Miller is using those same words to coax me again. But I coldly refused. "Mrs. Miller, my good fortune is just a name. I wouldn't dare ruin your son's future." "Mom, I told you," Jason said with disgust. "Sophie is nothing but a scammer. She just admitted it herself. Get rid of her. Stop listening to her nonsense." Jason looked me up and down with clear disdain in his eyes, his tone full of mockery. "I've met people like him before. What reincarnated koi? What natural-born luck? All lies used to fool others. Even without me, he would have made it to 26 just fine." But when I saw the hatred in his eyes, I knew he had been reborn too. In our past life, when Mrs. Miller begged me to marry Jason, she never mentioned that he already had a girlfriend he'd been with for 5 years. But I saw the dark aura on Jason's face and knew without a doubt he would die on the night of his 26th birthday. It was only because of the luxurious dowry and the promised donation that I agreed to marry him. Our wedding day happened to be Jason's birthday. He was completely unharmed, but his girlfriend Lily, heartbroken, got blackout drunk. Ignoring everyone's attempts to stop her, she sped off in her car, crashed, and died. Not only did she kill herself, she also hit and killed several innocent bystanders, destroying multiple families. He could have chosen not to marry me. He could have told me the truth. But he didn't. Instead, he blamed everything on me and tortured me to death. This time I won't step into that hell again. Mrs. Miller scolded him. "Jason, don't be so rude." Then she turned to me a bit apologetically. "He's just blunt, that's all. Don't take it to heart." Jason rolled his eyes impatiently. "If you know what kind of person you are, then get out already, or don't blame me for being nasty." He then turned to persuade his mother. "Mom, Lily and I have been together for 5 years. We're planning to get engaged next year. She even went to Starlight Temple to pray for my safety. The charm she got was blessed by the master himself, and she's going to be by my side the whole time. Do you still think I won't survive my 26th birthday? Relax, Mrs. Miller, you're overthinking this." Left with no other choice, Jason reluctantly walked me out. Before I left, he still looked uneasy and asked, "Sophie, is it really fake, that whole thing about you being born with good fortune?" I nodded. "It was just a persona created by my company for publicity." Mrs. Miller turned around, her face full of disappointment, and walked away. I stood staring at the Miller estate for a while, then flagged down a cab and headed to a far more luxurious villa. I knocked on the door, and as I had hoped, I saw that familiar face. "Logan, will you marry me?" Logan Carter was seated in his wheelchair, his handsome face full of shock. After all, in his memory, the only time we'd interacted was during a charity event at the orphanage. But I remembered him clearly. In my past life, on the day of my wedding to Jason, Logan had quietly approached me and gently said, "Sophie, if you're really that desperate for money, I can lend you some from my personal account. But marriage is a serious matter. You should think it through carefully." Jason Miller had a terrible temper, and Mrs. Miller wasn't as kind and gentle as she appeared on the surface. If I married into that family, I'd only suffer. Back when Jason held me captive, Logan had tried everything he could to rescue me, but with his legs paralyzed and his company struggling, he quickly became the target of Jason's ruthless revenge. The last thing I ever heard about him was Jason's sneering, patting my face with the back of a knife and mocking me. I didn't expect Logan Carter to be so infatuated with a scammer like you. What a shame he went off a cliff because of a brake failure. My hatred surged. The pain in my chest was unbearable. In this life, my greatest wish is to see Jason Miller die and to help Logan rise again. He's a good man and good people deserve good things. I didn't expect Logan to chuckle helplessly after hearing my proposal. Miss Chin, does the orphanage need donations? I'll have my secretary handle it right away. Panicking, I rushed to explain, trying to sell myself. Mr. Carter, I was born with natural good fortune. Whoever marries me will turn misfortune into blessings, and their household will thrive. Logan paused, his warm gaze landing softly on my face. Sophie, you're not a product, you're a person. Then with a faint self-deprecating smile he added, and me? I'm a disabled man in a wheelchair. I don't think I'm the right match for you. My eyes began to sting. Logan's legs had been injured in a car accident 3 years ago. He had thrown himself in harm's way to save a child with autism. That injury had turned a once proud golden boy into a pitiful man everyone looked at with sympathy. I took a deep breath and confessed boldly. But what if I told you I really like you? This time it was Logan who fell silent. He met my gaze, searching my eyes for any hint of deception. But all I saw in his was a love so deeply hidden beneath layers of self-doubt that it made my heart ache. On impulse, I leaned forward and gently kissed the corner of his lips. What about that? Will that help you believe me? Suddenly he cupped the back of my head and deepened the kiss. Unable to hold back, his voice turned low and intoxicating. Sophie Chin, since you've chosen me, then don't you dare regret it. That night I gave in completely. The next morning Logan set the wedding date. It just so happened to be Jason Miller's 26th birthday. Logan almost completely emptied his personal savings to gather $30 million and a house for the dowry. I felt a pang of guilt. I'm not with you for any of that, I told him softly. He kissed my brow tenderly. But I care, Sophie. You're my fiancée. You're worth everything I have. The wedding was set to be a grand affair. Come on, he said, let's go pick out a wedding dress. But at the bridal shop, I unexpectedly ran into Jason and his girlfriend Lily Schuer. Jason's eyes fell on Logan's hand holding mine, and a sneer curled at his lips. A scammer and what a perfect match. I shot back, watch your mouth, Jason. I didn't take your family's money and I didn't marry you. You have no right to insult me. Lily walked over, snuggling into Jason's arms with that delicate, syrupy tone, eyes filled with contempt. So you're the scammer he was talking about, Sophie Chin? When Jason nodded, Lily's gaze turned icy, her voice more cutting. In our circle, people like Sophie, we usually just call them gold diggers. Her eyes drifted casually toward the corner, spotting a rack of clearance sale dresses. She called over a clerk and had them thrown in front of me. This is what someone like you deserves to wear. That's enough, Logan said, his expression darkening. He moved his wheelchair forward, placing himself firmly between me and them, his posture radiating protection. Even seated, he didn't lose an ounce of presence compared to Jason. His voice was cold and clear. Mr. Miller, if you insist on insulting my fiancée, I won't hesitate to fight you with everything I've got. Jason's face darkened instantly. He knew it better than I did. Back in our past life, Jason Miller was only able to manipulate the situation because Logan, out of desperation and care, made a few missteps that gave Jason the opening he needed. If it really came down to the two of them facing off, who would win and who would lose? That wouldn't be easy to predict. All right, enough, Jason said, tapping Lily lightly as if to keep her from escalating things. But I could see the gears turning in his head. With his arrogant personality, there's no way he would let this go. Logan, Jason said, putting on a fake civility, we've known each other for some time. There's no need to make things too ugly. Since we've both scheduled our weddings 10 days from now at the same venue, Celestial Grand Hotel, why don't we just hold them together? The meaning behind his words couldn't have been more obvious. He wanted to publicly humiliate me. After all, Lily was the daughter of a real estate tycoon while I was just an ordinary woman. Logan clearly realized this too and frowned, not wanting me to feel embarrassed. He was about to reject the offer when I squeezed his hand and spoke first. Sure, I said calmly. After all, who ends up being the joke that day we'll see. Jason looked smug, clearly thinking I had taken the bait. Then let's look forward to a double celebration. Before we left, while Logan was speaking to the receptionist, Jason stopped walking and turned to glare at me. Gritting his teeth, he warned, "Sophie-chan, I won't give you another chance to come between me and Lily. Even without you, I'll make it through my 26th birthday just fine. I'll prove to everyone that you're nothing but a complete fraud. And when that day comes when everyone's pointing fingers at you, let's see if Logan still stands by your side." I acted as if I didn't understand and muttered under my breath, "What a psycho." That night, back at the villa, Logan remained quiet and visibly downcast. No matter how hard I tried to cheer him up, he only managed a half-hearted smile. Finally, after I kept pressing, he sighed and spoke. "Sophie, you agreed to have both weddings held together. People are bound to compare Jason and me. When they see me sitting in a wheelchair, won't you regret marrying me?" So that was it, he was feeling insecure. I leaned into his chest and playfully kissed him again and again, smiling. "What's that smell? Is that jealousy I detect? It's pretty strong." Logan's ears turned bright red. Then I looked at him seriously and said, "Logan, Jason doesn't even come close to you." His expression finally eased and he muttered under his breath, "You're just trying to flatter me." But the quickening of his heartbeat betrayed how much those words meant to him. We poured our energy into planning the wedding. Logan catered to my every preference, making sure the entire ceremony was designed just the way I wanted. Meanwhile, Jason was making quite a show of things. He and Lily were constantly showing up at events at Starlight Temple. Over time, rumors began to spread that Jason's destiny was blessed, and he was bound for immense wealth and power. As for the talk of his supposed 26th birthday curse, people began saying it was all just a lie made up by me, a gold-digging fraud trying to marry into a rich family. Lily went even further, mocking me relentlessly in her social circles. She painted me as a shameless, desperate woman who would do anything to cling to a wealthy man. At the same time, I received a message from Jason. "Sophie-chan, just wait. You tricked me so badly last time and got Lily killed. This time I'm not falling for it again." Without hesitation, I blocked his number. Soon the wedding day arrived. Jason appeared in a sharp suit with a charm from Starlight Temple hanging proudly around his neck. With Lily on his arm, he greeted guests at the entrance with a beaming face. When he spotted me, he looked around in mock surprise and asked, "What? Isn't today your wedding too? Where's Logan? Didn't he come?" "He got held up on the way," I said calmly. Jason raised a brow, clearly not buying it. "Held up, or maybe just didn't want to show up?" Lily giggled, covering her mouth. She was wearing an extravagant gown, surrounded by a group of wealthy young heirs. They all looked me over with smug, disdainful eyes, forming a silent wall around me, isolating me completely. Whispers spread among the guests. "Logan really lost out. Not only is he paralyzed, but his fiancée, word is she's a scammer who's been desperate to marry into money. I heard that scammer claimed she was born with divine luck, trying to marry into the Miller family and become their daughter-in-law. But in the end, she got thrown out personally by Mr. Miller himself." "Shoo, keep your voice down." I ignored the whispers and judgmental stares until I came face to face with Mrs. Miller. She had completely changed from the woman who used to beg me with a pitiful tone. Now she stood tall and proud, playing the role of a doting mother-in-law beside Lily. With veiled meaning she said, "A person should be grounded, should work hard for what they have. Relying on shortcuts and tricks to gain undeserved wealth will never end well." The crowd immediately turned their gazes toward me, their eyes filled with scorn. I simply smiled and replied softly, "Don't celebrate too early. The day isn't over yet." Mrs. Miller's expression darkened. "Are you cursing my son, Sophie? And Logan doesn't even bother to keep you in line." Just then the doors opened. Logan walked in, dressed in a perfectly tailored suit. Step by steady step he made his way to my side, no longer hiding the fact that he could walk. His expression was calm but cold. As the husband, he said I should be the one managing my wife, not the other way around. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mrs. Miller was stunned, speechless, eyes widened everywhere. Logan is standing," someone whispered. Mrs. Miller turned pale, shocked beyond words. But before anyone could speak, someone shouted, "Mr. Miller's amulet is on fire." I looked up. The protective charm Jason had worn around his neck, blessed and brought from Starlight Temple, had somehow caught fire without any apparent cause. Panicked, Jason ripped it off and tried every way to extinguish the flames, but in the end the charm burned to ash in his hands. I glanced at the clock in the hall. It was only 7 p.m. There were still 4 hours left. How would he survive them? In the next instant the chandelier above suddenly broke free and crashed down directly over Jason's head. A thunderous bang echoed through the room, sending guests screaming and scattering. Only the quick reaction of the MC saved Jason from being crushed. He shoved him out of the way just in time. Jason sat on the floor, dazed, his former confidence completely shattered. He stared wide-eyed at the shattered crystals, too stunned to speak. Logan immediately pulled me close, shielding me with his body. After taking a quick moment to assess the chaos, he calmly instructed his people to clean up the scene. But Jason's misfortunes were far from over. Just as he was recovering from the chandelier scare, the nearby curtains suddenly caught fire. The flames spread fast, unnaturally fast, racing straight toward him. "Jason, my son!" Mrs. Miller screamed, shrill and panicked. People rushed to throw water on him and soon Jason was soaked from head to toe. Dripping wet, he stumbled to his feet, surveying the wreckage around him. Then suddenly his gaze locked on me. "It was you," he growled. "It had to be you." His eyes were filled with hate. "The master said I had an emperor's destiny. There's no way anything could go wrong unless you did something, Sophie Chin. You can't stand seeing me do well, so you set this all up to ruin me." Jason, rattled by one freak incident after another, completely lost control. He lunged toward me, face twisted in rage. Logan immediately stepped between us, ready to fight if necessary. But Jason didn't even get the chance. As soon as he stepped forward, his foot slipped on a wine bottle and he fell face down right where he was. Falling, a large shard of broken glass stood upright on the floor, aimed directly at his neck. If he landed on it, it would pierce his artery without question. Mrs. Miller screamed and rushed over, kicking the glass away just in time. Jason barely escaped with his life again. At that point, even the arrogant, prideful Miller family realized something was seriously wrong. Mrs. Miller whispered as if in disbelief, "Was that fortune teller right after all? Is there really a deadly curse on my son before his 26th birthday?" But this, she looked around at the wreckage. "This isn't just misfortune, this is trying to kill him." Lily had been caught in the chaos as well. Her expensive wedding gown was now dirty and trampled. Not caring about appearances anymore, she rushed to Jason's side and helped him up, tears running down her cheeks. Jason, are you okay? This can't be happening. The master said everything would be fine." Jason snapped out of his daze. "The master? Get the master from Starlight Temple now." The Miller family staff scrambled to do as he ordered. It was only 7:30 p.m., barely half an hour had passed, yet Jason Miller had already faced multiple life-threatening incidents. This time he finally quieted down and stayed put, no longer showing a shred of arrogance. Then the master from Starlight Temple arrived, dressed in golden robes. He rushed in with urgency. The moment he laid eyes on Jason, his expression changed drastically. "A murderous aura surrounds him," the master said gravely. "Mr. Miller may not live through the night." Mrs. Miller's eyes rolled back and she nearly fainted on the spot. Lily broke into uncontrollable sobs. But Jason wasn't ready to give up. "Master," he asked desperately, "isn't there any way to break this curse?" The master frowned deeply. Then his gaze shifted to me. Surprise flashed in his eyes and he quickly walked over. "This young lady is the key," he declared. "She is the reincarnation of the koi spirit, born with extraordinary luck. If she becomes your wife, you will be shielded from harm and live a life of peace and prosperity." The room fell into stunned silence. Jason and Mrs. Miller looked at me as if they just found their savior, awkward yet full of desperate hope. Logan calmly stepped between the master and me, shielding me from their reach. He leaned in and whispered, "Sophie, don't be scared, I'll protect you." I nodded, then looked toward the Millers with a faint, almost amused smile. Finally, they were beginning to realize just how absurdly wrong they'd been, especially Jason, who had lived through a second chance and yet was now filled with regret. At this exact moment in our past life, he had been celebrating, toasting partners with confidence. Mrs. Miller was the first to act. She scrambled toward me, half crawling, and knelt at my feet, pleading in a low voice. "Sophie, you heard it too. Only you can save my son. I was wrong before, I shouldn't have doubted you. Please marry him." I'll give you $100 million and another $100 million donation to the orphanage. I beg you marry him tonight. I'll even add another $30 million if you agree to put on a wedding dress and marry him right now. Logan's face darkened. He ground his words out through clenched teeth. Mrs. Miller, I've respected you as an elder and shown restraint. But Sophie is my wife, and for you to try to take her from me in front of everyone, don't you think that's beneath your dignity? I paused for a moment then nodded. All right. Logan turned to me, stunned, pain flashing openly in his eyes. I gently squeezed his hand behind my back to reassure him. Then I looked at the Millers who were just beginning to cheer up again and added, but I have 2 conditions. Mrs. Miller latched onto my words like they were a lifeline. Name them. Name anything. If you want the stars in the sky, I'll find a way to get them for you. I pointed at Jason and said calmly, first I want Jason to kneel and kowtow to me 3 times. With each bow he has to say, Sophie, I was wrong, ma'am. Jason exploded. You vile woman, you're dreaming. He charged toward me in a fury but slipped on the polished floor and fell flat on his face in front of everyone. He landed hard, this time his forehead slamming into the ground and bleeding on the spot. Mrs. Miller burst into tears. Jason, I've raised you all these years, giving you everything you wanted. Just this once, can't you lower your head to save your life? Jason clenched his jaw, furious, but under my unwavering gaze, he